Falcon fans. Oh, man. We are back. And yes, we are talking about one thing and one thing only, the Atlanta Falcons. Glad to have everybody here joining us on this pop-up Friday podcast. Random for some of you all. You're probably getting your notifications looking around like, One Time for the Fan is live? Nah, they're probably just replaying a show. Nah, we live. It's lit. It's going down in a major way. You know, we talk Falcons football all the time here, people. And when it gets to a point that, you know, we talk about it so much that we have to go live, that means it's serious. And, you know, the fans that's here jumping in the chat, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. It is going down in a major way. We got a special guest with us today. Lunchtime with Miles. This is our second time we've done Lunchtime with Miles, but big shout out to Miles Garrett, right? Because for one thing about Miles, he's a hardworking man, right? Let's just go ahead and say that. He is a hardworking man. You know what he does with Fox 5 too as well. I forgot. Episode 164 for those that's here in the chat listening and watching Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, everywhere pretty much we try to put One Time for the Fan on. If you don't have One Time for the Fan on, you know, one of your audio sites or podcast sites, let me know. I'll go ahead and try to get it added on there. But Miles is a die-hard Atlanta Falcon fan. Of course, Braves and Dogs and some other teams too as well. But, you know, my guy Miles right here, man, going to be joining us shortly. He's at the office right now. He's taking care of some work. So once he's finished with that, he's going to come over here and talk some Falcons with us. He holds the record right now for most appearances on One Time for the Fan. He actually has more appearances than Bodie, for those that do not know. He has more appearances than Bodie on One Time for the Fan. So my boy Miles Garrett is going to be dropping by with us. Look at the smile. Look at the smile. Everybody look at the smile. Come on. That's Miles Garrett. He is he has been just a big help for us here at One Time for the Fan, because you hear a lot of things in the media from Falcon fans and you know, other media outlets of what's going on with the team, and you want to hear it straight from the people who cover the Atlanta Falcons, people who are in the room with Terry when it comes to interviewing these Falcons organization, the staff members and so on, the players. Miles Garrett and Justin Felder and, you know, some of the other broadcasters out there, not only from Fox 5 but from other channels too as well, do a very good job here in Atlanta of trying to bring us the best information possible when it comes to getting the facts. A lot of fans here in the chat follow Miles. A lot of fans here that listen and watch One Time for the Fan, they know about Miles. And because of, you know, all this talk of quarterback and draft and free agency and so many other things, fans have questions. I have questions. So we're going to try to get some answers as best as we can from my dog, Miles Garrett. Also, big shout out to all the other content creators out there too as well, who do a good job of bringing, as much positivity as they can to the fan base. There's so many content creators out here who is pretty much, you know, up and coming, or the ones that's been around for a while now. It's great to know that, you know, everybody wants to win, right? And everybody's going to have different opinions and different views about the team. At the end of the day, we all want to win. Chat is lit. Chat is live. I know there's going to be some questions tonight from Miles. And we also have another guest that's going to be joining us here shortly too as well. Kenny Sembrez up in the chat. He said, "What up, One Time in the fam?" And the great Miles Garrett, another lunchtime special. Can't wait to hear what's cooking for lunch today. Well, just quickly before we get our guests in here, as our special guest said, just finished up. He says hopping on shortly as soon as he heads out to the car. He's a hardworking brother, man. Miles, come on, Miles. Come on, Miles. Miles is probably running to the car. I got a podcast to do, guys. People at Fox 5 looking like, where's Miles going? He's about to go talk to One Time for the Fan. Big shout out to everybody over there at Fox 5 too as well. Fox5 Atlanta holding it down in a major way. Kenny, I can't wait to find out, honestly, what's cooking really with the Atlanta Falcons in the next couple of weeks, because when this offseason really begins and things get underway, it's going to get crazy. But the NFL, and we're going to talk to Miles about it shortly, the NFL announcing that they're going to be playing in Spain in 2025 is major. It's major. You feel what I'm saying? Because the Falcons could possibly be one of those teams that's playing. I mean, you saw the international situation with Germany that we're a part of now. And of course, you've seen us play in England. So I think down the line, the Falcons could be possibly playing in Germany, Spain, Brazil, maybe Mexico City. Who knows where these Falcons can go? But for the NFL to announce that they are going to Spain in next year is going to be it's going to be pretty cool. So for those that are looking for a game to go to, that might be your game to go to. So Falcon fans, definitely hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. We are live. Miles Garrett will be joining us shortly, and another guest will be joining us shortly too. King, Atlanta supporter, what's up? Big shout out to King here in the chat. King says, can't wait for free agency in the draft. Come on, King. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. That's what's so cool about talking with these diehard Atlanta Falcon fans, because everybody is excited. And of course, I'm doing a 3:00 podcast at 8 on Friday, normally when we do our Sundays and Wednesday shows. So I'm excited too as well. Dirty Fanatics United is in the chat. Big shout out to Chase and everybody over there. They have a big show going down tonight with an amazing group of content creators. I myself should be able to make it to that podcast. If not, I know we have somebody from the team representing, but Chase doing a good job over there with Dirty Fanatics United. Like you said right here, big show tonight at 8. It's going down in a major way. Dan Burst, who was with us recently here on One Time for the Fan, he was a guest talking Falcons football with us. Rise Up Tour member too as well. Travels very well with the Atlanta Falcon fan group that we have. And big shout out to Dan, man. Quickly, before we get Miles here, we had a special guest Wednesday night who was talking Falcons football and had everybody ready to get out there and go play football. Like it was damn Coach on the screen, but it wasn't Coach. It was one of our good friends by the name of Terry Wilson. And Terry Wilson is back with us today talking Falcons football when Miles Garrett will be arriving here shortly. Terry!
What's up? What's going on, Jack? Hello, Atlanta Falcon fans. Rise up, rise up, rise up. How you doing?
Doing good. Feeling great, man. We've talked for, a lot this week about the Atlanta Falcons and, of course, free agency and what's going on with the quarterback issue and the roster and everything. And when I told you Miles Garrett would be here on Friday, you was like, man, well, do you mind if I come speak to Miles Garrett too as well? I was like, yeah, sure, come on by. So this is great that Terry's here with us. No Chase today, no Kiki today, no Bodie today, but Miles Garrett will be arriving shortly. Matter of fact, I see the security detail already getting off the highway. I'm looking right now. We have cameras set up all over our shit. So I'm looking right now. I see the security detail already getting off the highway. Miles is the GOAT. Emmy nominated Miles Garrett. So he rolls with a big heavy security detail. So I've already seen the detail already start to come down the street. But Terry, back another time talking Falcons football with us. How's it been for you since the podcast?
It's been great. It's been great. All of my friends and family, and they loved it, and they're looking for more. They love your show. They love the passion. They love the virtues that we extol on the show. So let's get to it. They are excited and looking for a heck of a lot more content. So just happy to be here.
Yo, let me tell you something. I need to go change my fucking outfit. Hold on. I need to go change. I ain't ready for this one. I'm not ready for this. Let me tell you something. My man is sharp. My man is sharp.
Whoa.
My man is sharp. Like, come on, Miles.
How we doing, guys?
How's it going?
Doing pretty good. Look, I got to show up for my man DJ. I just hosted a show with him, so he always dresses to the T. So I got to look the part.
Let me tell you something, Miles. If I knew there was going to be a dress code today, I would have never came in this regular basic Falcon shirt. I would have called up probably the Falconator. Some of those diehard Falcon fans that wear the suits with the Falcon logos all over them.
Yeah.
Probably call a couple of my brothers. See what they're doing. Miles Garrett is here on the podcast, and Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Miles, you hold the record for most appearances here, special guest appearances here on One Time for the Fans. So
it's a title I'm very proud of.
Oh man, thank you so much, Miles. And this is the moment that Falcon fans have been waiting for since the bye week. That was the last time we got a chance to chat, and so much has happened within the Falcons from those past 3 months, Miles.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and I'm glad that you're here, Terry. I'm glad that you're here, Terry. Miles, this is for the fans in the chat. This is our new podcaster for One Time for the Fan. This is Terry Wilson right here, Miles.
What up, Terry? How we doing?
What's going on, Miles? I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad to talk Falcons. And hey, man, I'm just glad to be here. So I'm looking forward to what you have to say. Word on the street is that you went down to the Senior Bowl and you have some news for us. So not to segue, but yeah, let's segue into it. What are your thoughts on what you've seen thus far?
Yeah, we'll talk some Senior Bowl real quick. Miles, what you got?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I was down there to focus on kind of two things, really, as being part of Fox 5, focusing in on the Georgia football players. There were 6 of them, and potential quarterbacks that the Falcons might be looking at. So really got a good look at Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, Sam Hartman, Spencer Rattler, all the guys who were there. And like I said, of course, the 6 Bulldog players. But I will say, as far as standouts are concerned, I know he is a Bulldog in and of itself, but Ladd McConkey was really the guy stealing the show all week there in Mobile. Really might have talked his way into first round consideration with what he was doing. I mean, he was really killing it. Whether it was route running, I mean, really mostly was that. It was route running, catching everything thrown his way. I believe he got, I don't know if there was an award per se, but all the defensive backs basically said he was the best receiver they were lining up against. So he really improved his stock. As far as other receivers are concerned, Roman Wilson out of Michigan was a guy that caught my eye.
Falcons, get these names, Falcons.
Yeah, he definitely was a guy that caught my eye. Luke McCaffrey as well. Might know his last name. He's Christian McCaffrey's little brother out of Rice. Was looking good out there at wide receiver. A guy who actually I think didn't look as good, as speaking of, legacy names, is Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son. He was a guy that I honestly was kind of sad to not be too impressed with down there in Mobile. But besides that, going back to the quarterback discussion, Michael Penix Jr., for me, was clearly the best quarterback there. And I think that's kind of understood by most people who watch the quarterbacks this year. I know Spencer Rattler had a good week, and, he was the MVP of the game. But as far as practices were concerned, Michael Penix Jr. seemed to me, at least, the guy that was definitely standing out. None of the other guys, again, this is all me. I'm not exactly a scout, but Bo Nix wasn't screaming first round to me. Michael Penix Jr., I could see maybe late first round, early second. I don't really know if you want to spend a top 10 pick on him. I really kind of wanted to see J.J. McCarthy. I know McCarthy didn't play in the game, but he's seemingly rising up a lot of boards right now to potential. I mean, word on the street is top 10. So I'm not sure how valid that is, or, if teams do think that way. But he looked good, and I'm going to butcher his last name, or his full name, really. But the edge rusher out of UCLA, Lutu, I believe you say his name.
Yeah, that's who we had projected earlier last year. They said it was going to select him at 8, and then the Dallas Turner news started to come out. So yeah, the kid from UCLA is putting on the show right now.
Yeah, potential top 10 pick, but he looked very good as well.
Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Bring your questions, bring your comments to the chat for Miles Garrett from Fox5Atlanta. Miles, it's a beautiful day in Atlanta. I'm looking through the sunroof there. It's looking like, we're getting ready for football season soon. A little overcast, but, fans, they know football season is around the corner, Miles, and it's getting closer and closer. The hire of Raheem Morris now, for most Falcon fans here in Atlanta, that's pretty much, like, our good friend. I mean, he was here back in 2019, those years, 2017, 2020 with Dan Quinn too as well, and that staff. And Falcon fans are excited. So I have to go over this, Miles, before we get back to the draft and the Senior Bowl. Your thoughts on Raheem? I know Fox 5 is probably going to be doing a lot coming up with the Falcons and interviewing Raheem and speaking with Terry, but just your thoughts on just the new hire for Falcon fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think I speak for most Falcons fans when I say that it certainly was a surprise, I think, compared to, just all the names that they were bringing in, Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, all the hottest, the who's who of, if you were a coaching candidate, you were basically being interviewed by the Falcons. I mean, they brought in 14 different guys, if I'm not mistaken. So I think because of that, it was a little bit of a surprise, just knowing that he was your interim head coach before he was in your building. You would kind of think that, maybe you wouldn't give the full-time job to him. Otherwise, maybe you would have given it to him 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So because of that, I think it was a little bit of a surprise, but I did think it was interesting because in the days leading up to the decision actually being made, I spoke to a couple former players. Mohamed Sanu, really had a good conversation with him, kind of talking about what his thoughts were. Like, I was like, hey, like who do you, if you had to pick, who would it be? And like, without hesitation, Raheem Morris. That was his no hesitation pick. Kind of asked him about it, just thinks he kind of got a raw end of the deal, as far as not raw end of the deal, but I guess like him being interim head coach wasn't the necessary reflection of what he was.
Yes.
As a head coach, just because of the roster, the circumstances, he only had X amount of games to really make an impression, all those different reasons. So really good insight from him because of that. And he won the press conference. I'll say that. Raheem Morris had an excellent press conference. You kind of understood why the Falcons brass liked him so much and why the players like him so much. He really is personable, very polar opposite, I think, of Arthur Smith, because I will say I did like Arthur Smith when the cameras aren't rolling. I think it was a side of him a lot of fans weren't really familiar with.
I had some conversations with him. He's a super cool guy, man. Super
yes, cool. He was a cool guy, like not as dry as maybe he seems sometimes, like you see on TV. But in that regard, I would say polar opposite from Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris, you know he's in the room when he's in there with you. He brightens up any room you're talking to, and I think you really saw that there, kind of talking about the process with Terry Fontenot, and you really see the chemistry that those two already have. So that's certainly encouraging for Falcons fans.
Falcon fans, you were hearing it from, as Dre True Statement said, Miles GQ Garrett. Miles, you are just too sharp for me. And I know next time, Terry, we know what the dress code is next time. Next time we get Miles on the podcast, we're throwing the shirts and the hoodies away. We're going out there.
Hey,
come on.
I got to say, I got this suit from Terry's suit guy, too. So Terry Fontenot also knows how to dress.
Good deal. Good deal.
Well, if Terry Fontenot is listening to the podcast, you want to hook everybody up, let us know. Terry, you're hearing what Miles is saying about Raheem, and you spoke about this Wednesday night too as well. Your thoughts as a Falcon fan about just the new hire too as well. And Miles, just to hear one of our new podcasters here, Terry Wilson. I mean, he can talk Falcons all day, Miles. We talked on the phone for almost 3 hours the other day, so be prepared for this.
We did.
Wow, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yes, sir. So, Miles, I have to echo your sentiment. I think first and foremost, Raheem Morris is a leader. He is a leader. He is a leader in every way. He is humble. He has experienced failure and grown from it. He has experienced success at the ultimate. And I believe he's cultivated that knowledge and is bringing it here. And I think first and foremost, the first impact you're going to see is on the culture. I'm noticing the interaction between Terry and Raheem, and I didn't see that with Arthur. And no disrespect to him, right? But I'm seeing that. I'm noticing the interactions with Raheem in the press, right? It was almost like he had them eating from his hand, right? And I think with that sort of know-how, now it's one thing to be positive, right? But he's positive. And he's won a Super Bowl, and he's been to 2, and he knows what he's doing, right? And not only that, he's cultivated relationships to where we really have some of the best coaches in the game. So I'm excited. I can't wait for day one. I'm looking forward to it. I think the other night I predicted that we were going to go to the playoffs this year. I
stand say that on Wednesday. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's a great hire. I think it's a great hire. Miles, I do have a question. I do have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
A little birdie told me that Ladd McConkey drew comparison to a former Hall of Famer or a former player who's soon to be a Hall of Famer. Can you speak to that?
I will say this. I saw the comparison you're talking about, and I actually agree with it to a certain extent. We're talking about Antonio Brown here.
Yes.
Because it's always you all know it. Like when you see a white receiver, it's like, oh, he really reminds you of Julian Edelman, or he looks like Cooper Kupp out there. And it's just, I think it's become kind of a lazy comparison nowadays. I say that comparison mostly just because when you watched him out there, Antonio Brown, I think at his best, the best thing he brought to the game was his route running and the way he was able to get around people and really separate himself to get open. I think that's what Ladd McConkey was doing, or at least that's what he was doing to catch my eye out there on the field and where he was beating guys. So I say that comparison because of seeing that and nothing more. I think those two are very, very different off the field and personalities, obviously. But yeah, that's where I'd say the comparison ends.
Well, hey, we definitely take an AB, I guess, second coming on the field. So he's a Georgia guy, and
the key for Ladd will be if he can stay healthy. That's his issue. He definitely needs to figure out how to stay healthy.
That's true.
You speak about health too as well for some of these players. I mean, Michael Penix did finish the season, on the up, but people are worried about the injuries too as well. Him being one of the hottest quarterbacks down there at the Senior Bowl, and fans wanted to know, is the draft stock dropping? That's why he went to the Senior Bowl. And because if you're a player, not to put you on the spot, Miles, but if you're a player, you got to know going into the Senior Bowl, you're not playing in this game. I mean, let's be real. If I show up, to a city to go do something like the Senior Bowl, I got to know in my mind days before, I'm not playing in this game. So it's like, what was it with the whole Penix thing? Because fans are saying they want Penix. And we're going to get to the quarterback talk about the draft soon, but I want to just stick on Penix with the health. Is that something that NFL owners are worried about too, you think?
It seems like it, especially with that report coming out that's saying the league is seemingly lower on Penix and Nix.
And more McCarthy moving up now? Yeah.
And higher on McCarthy. Yeah. Now, granted, that might be system related since Jim Harbaugh obviously ran a more pro-style type offense at Michigan, so he could just be more pro-ready in that regard. Michael Penix Jr. and especially Bo Nix, the offense just, it's kind of like that read type offense, which doesn't always translate well to the NFL. I think most people who watch Bo Nix kind of understood that it was a lot of check down type plays, a lot of short intermediate passes, that type of thing. But again, going back to your original question on Michael Penix Jr., I don't think anyone questions his ability. I think the big red flag with him is the injury history. And especially when you consider it with the Falcons, who's going to be blocking his blind side? That's going to be Caleb McGarry. Caleb McGarry hasn't been in the past. Maybe he's getting better. He's been kind of hot or cold. But as far as pass protection, I don't think that's his strength. I think run blocking is where Caleb likes to shine. So it's definitely a risk when you have a guy like that whose strength is more run blocking, protecting a guy with injury history on his blind side. So I think that could be potentially a red flag the Falcons might be looking at, or the rest of the league for that matter. Again, injuries for your quarterback. I mean, it's a huge investment, the quarterback position, especially when you're using it as a first-round pick. And if there's any red flags with injuries, that type of thing, it's something teams are definitely going to take pause on.
Okay. See, Falcon fans, that's why it's so good to have a guy like Miles here on the podcast talking Falcons football with us, because Miles is in the Falcons community. So when you watch, the NFL Network and some of the bigger broadcasts, and you see some people giving their talk about some of these players, here on One Time for the Fan, we can't reach out to them. But at least for Miles Garrett, we know that Miles is real deal, 100%. He's down there. He's doing his homework on the team. This is another season for Miles where he gets the chance to go in there and study the offseason of what the Falcons may do, which route they may go. So hearing this talk about Penix, when some fans here in Atlanta are really heavy on Penix, it's possible that he still could be, Miles, with what you're saying, he still could end up our quarterback this season.
He could. Yeah, I mean, again, you can't discount what happens at pro days, NFL Combine, trades that will still probably happen in the first round. There's going to be so much movement. It's still so early in the process. I mean, think about it. At this time last year, Jalen Carter was the consensus #1 overall pick. So things can change very, very quickly between now and, by the time the draft actually starts, which is basically the end of April. We've got a lot of time to figure this stuff out.
That's true. Falcon fans, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. Miles Garrett from Fox 5 talking Falcons football with us. Terry Wilson, glad that you are here once again. One time for the fans, new podcaster talking Falcons football with us. We've been talking about Senior Bowl, talked a little bit about some of these young players here, Miles. I have to get to the quarterback issue in Atlanta. And Falcon fans, sit on back in your chair. I know what's getting ready to happen.
Here we go.
The cat's going to go ridiculous with this quarterback talk. Miles, I'm going to just tell you how I see it.
Sure.
You have about 8 to 11 teams that need quarterbacks this season. And the first 8, they need a quarterback pretty much right now to go in there and play. The other 3, 4 that I'm looking at, they want to probably get some backups. But if you're looking at the offseason, the free agency list, the backups, the quarterbacks are not too good right now. I mean, you're looking at Russell Wilson in Denver, that situation. If Fields becomes available, Kirk Cousins situation, and then after that, it's like what? Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston.
There's a pretty big drop off after that.
Thank you, Miles. I don't want to just keep going down there, but and no disrespect to those players too, because I don't play the game. They put their bodies on the line to go play the game, so I'm not disrespecting them. But here in Atlanta, we want either A, the future, or B, the guy who can go out there and get us wins. When you're looking at the quarterback situation, Miles, Russell Wilson, for me, seems to be the guy I would want to see help us here win some games. That's the number one guy I got. But my 5 is Russell, Fields, if available, Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels. That's my 5. Miles, the quarterback situation, Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin saying he wants to challenge Kenny Pickett with a quarterback. And you're looking at the Jets GM last night talking about they might need a backup quarterback for Aaron Rodgers. He's coming to the end of his career. The Giants situation with Daniel Jones and what could happen next year with him. Some of these teams might make a move. The Raiders, the Broncos, the Vikings. There are teams that need quarterbacks, Miles. What is happening with Atlanta here with this quarterback issue, and where do you think we're going?
Yeah, it's the $1 million question right now. If anyone had an answer or the right answer for this, I'm sure it'd be all over Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it today. But no, I mean, I think right now it's all kind of assumption and speculation, really. As far as me, like if you had to ask me, I think the draft is probably the best route right now for them, whether that's trade up or stay put, just simply because of the options that are out there. Now, Russell Wilson, I liked a lot, but it depends on how much he's going to cost. I think that's a big thing. And he's also a little bit older. You know, he's not going to be there forever when you sign him. You're still going to have to – you're basically just kicking the can down the road a little bit if you sign Russell Wilson. Outside of that, Justin Fields becomes the next question. Obviously, number one, you don't know if he's going to be available. But number two, it's a money situation with Justin Fields because he's no longer going to be on his rookie contract. You're going to have to give him that extension, which is going to cost you a lot of money, or at least you assume that because of what the way the quarterback market is nowadays and what I assume his agent will probably demand. So if Justin Fields didn't come with that caveat of the contract, I think it'd be a lot easier to kind of talk yourself into that potential option. I think that is the bigger deal, the money situation with Justin Fields, than it is his actual play. Because do you want to take that risk and offer him all that money when you still don't really know what he is? You're not quite sure. You've seen the flashes. You see what he can be, but you don't know if he's been a product of a bad Chicago Bears team or if he himself is having issues kind of developing. So there's a lot of different factors to consider with Justin Fields. And then Kirk Cousins, again, it's another money situation. He's older. He's coming off a devastating injury that not a lot of players are able to recover.
But he was dancing last night. He's clearly showing the NFL that Achilles is good.
He was. I was just talking about that with DJ. Yeah, we were kind of noticing that Achilles seems pretty healed up now. But still, it is a very serious injury to come back from, and at his age especially. And again, you're giving a guy who's is probably going to be here at his best 3 more seasons. Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's in his mid-30s. You don't know how long he's got.
36,
So I mean, at that point, you're basically signing Matt Ryan from 2019.
Yeah.
Like, do you want that for the next few years? Do you want to invest in that? Like, love Matt to death, but would you want to sign Matt at 2019 and have that be your future?
No.
I think you kind of want to start fresh a little bit, especially with a coach like Raheem Morris, kind of a young guy, Zach Robinson, who's known to develop quarterbacks. I think that's the big thing why I liked that hire so much and why it's being hyped up so much, is that he does have a very good ability to kind of make those quarterbacks better than what they are. The reclamation projects, like you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield there. He kind of at one point looked like Baker was basically out of the league, and then he looked
Matthew Stafford. Look
at
the Super Bowl season with Stafford they had. It's incredible.
Matthew Stafford, exactly. All those guys. So he's done a lot of great work with quarterbacks. So all of these things considered, again, draft positioning, you're probably going to get an extra pick for Calvin Ridley, so you get more ammo to potentially use as trade bait. I think the draft makes the most sense for this team.
Or as a couple Falcon fans in the chat will say, unless Ridley ends up a Falcon again.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, agreed.
Terry, quarterback issue? You hear Miles, man. He's the GOAT. GQ Miles. We got so many nicknames for you now, Miles. I don't know where to go. Terry,
I like it, yeah. Whichever one you want.
Yep.
Mr. GQ. Miles, let me ask you a question. So Zach Robinson is, I guess we can dub him the quarterback whisperer. Do you think there's a potential that he could develop Ritter into a serviceable quarterback? Not that he's starting. I'm saying, do you think it's within the realm of possibility to develop Ritter into a serviceable number 2?
I saw someone mention this on Twitter not too long ago. If Zach Robinson was able to turn Desmond Ritter into a very good starting quarterback, he'd become the hottest head coaching candidate for next year's cycle.
Shit.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Wait, from OC to again, GM in 1 year? That is crazy.
Yeah.
But again, that's also not a slight at Desmond. I think it wasn't beneficial for him to not have a quarterbacks coach this past season.
Yeah.
And I do think some of the routes and a lot of that's, again, I'm not taking any blame away from Desmond Ritter. I do think there were a lot of times where he was making almost inexcusable mistakes at times, whether it's the fumbles or, interceptions at the worst possible times, like those types of things. But at the same time, I do think there were flashes. You saw a lot of flashes from Dez. That every time you would see it, there'd be like almost 3 to 4 plays a game where you're like, this is what the Falcons are talking about.
Correct.
Like, he can kind of ball a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just the mistakes that would end up costing him. So I think because of that, like, first of all, I have no issue keeping Desmond Ritter as your backup on the team.
Yeah.
I think Dez is a very good backup to have on your team right now. I think you could cut Taylor Heineke, save some money, and have Dez as your backup.
Agreed.
But yeah, I do. I am very intrigued to see what Zach can do with Desmond Ritter because he's still so young. I mean, he's finally had one full season as a starting quarterback where, like I said, you saw flashes. You just need to. It's just not right for this team right now. They need a guy who's ready and can kind of get you those wins right away. But yeah, no, I'm certainly intrigued to see what he can do with Dez, and I hope he can because his track record proves that he can.
Okay. Excellent.
Hey, man, this is great having Miles here. Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Miles Garrett from Fox5 Atlanta talking Falcons football with us. Quick question for you, Miles. Great True Statement wants to know, in your opinion, what was the positives of each quarterback and what was some of the negatives you took away from the Senior Bowl? Or just, I guess, the draft right now. I guess was what Dre's talking about, because there are a lot of quarterbacks from the draft that's coming out.
Gotcha. So just the Senior Bowl quarterbacks?
Well, let's do Senior Bowl quarterbacks.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, again, like I said, Penix looked the part to me. Like he looks like he can be a starting quarterback in the league, and he looked like he was better. His accuracy was very good. His arm strength really stood out. He can definitely flick that thing. I mean, I think he has the best arm out of anyone there that I saw. I think it was him and probably Rattler that had the best arm strength. But yeah, he definitely impressed me in that regard. Bo Nix had some accuracy issues that kind of scared me a little bit. Mostly because of where he was, I was seeing some people mocking him, like first round type guy. That was kind of giving me pause, and I was watching it because I'm like, I don't really see it with him. Now, could he be, second, third round type guy? Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be out of the realm of possibility. But first round, I don't know. Sam Hartman was not impressed with him at all. the Notre Dame quarterback. I thought maybe I'd see some good things from him because obviously the success he had at Wake Forest and Notre Dame running pro-style offenses, but wasn't very impressed with him. Spencer Rattler is intriguing because it seems like he's rising up a lot of draft boards, and we kind of knew what he was. Like he was the guy with all the tools, the 5-star quarterback. He was going to be Oklahoma's guy before Caleb Williams was. I mean, Caleb Williams was the backup. Yeah. Think about that. Like he was the guy before Caleb was. So, and unfortunately, I think he's just one of those guys that you never know what you're going to get. I feel like you're either going to get one of the best quarterbacks there are, or he's not even serviceable as a starter. So he's kind of hit or miss. So he's a guy that I wouldn't really feel comfortable taking a risk on. Now I'd feel comfortable spending a 5th rounder on maybe, and using as a project potentially to develop. But other than that, I'm not too sold on Spencer Rattler. And that was basically really all the quarterbacks I saw. Now there probably were some other ones that I wasn't really paying attention to. There might be some later round guys, but those are the headliners, and that's how I feel probably about all of them.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Miles, as we're going over this quarterback situation still, and you talked about the draft situation. Now, if the Falcons were to try to trade up, you have 3 teams in front of you. Technically, if you count the Giants. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it like this. If the Bears keep Fields, they probably are not going to go get a quarterback at number 1. So they might be potentially opening up to trade the pick. And the Bears kind of control the draft right now because, they're sitting at 9. They're sitting at 1. They can trade 1 if they want to. They can trade Fields if they want to. They can get so much back in the next couple of weeks because the Bears, they robbed Carolina last year.
Yeah, they did.
That was a pure robbery. And then now this year, sitting at 1, sitting at 9, having a quarterback that they can trade off and get some picks back. The number 1 pick they can trade off and get some picks back. But let's just say they keep Fields. And they want to go Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1. The Commanders now at 2 will probably get their guy because Caleb Williams from Washington. This is how some of the scenarios are playing out with the Falcons community, Miles. Caleb Williams goes 2. 3, Gerard Mayo mentioning that he wanted to select, the very most important position in a franchise, which, as we can see for the Patriots, they banked Zappy and the situation with Mac Jones. They're probably going to go quarterback at 3. If it's Drake May or Jaden Daniels. And then you got teams like the Giants, the Titans, which, can shake up some things. The Vikings behind us are heavy. They want a quarterback. The Raiders, the Broncos. Like, how do the Falcons get into a quarterback mix when you have so many teams? If this is last year's draft, Miles, I can tell you, okay, the Falcons, where they're sitting, they can get a quarterback because the way the draft was looking. This year, you're looking at 4 or 5 quarterbacks probably going top 15, top 20. And the Falcons are one of those teams that need a quarterback. How do they get in to get a quarterback if they're sitting at 8?
So if you're at 8, I'm thinking that your only option is going to be J.J. McCarthy because Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Caleb Williams, I feel like, especially Drake May and Caleb Williams, I'm not thinking are going to make it down to that spot.
J.J. McCarthy?
No. What I'm saying is, if you're saying put at 8, I think J.J. McCarthy might be your best option because
I'm just surprised that's the first time I've heard that name as just being.
No, I'm just like I said, I'm just saying that because of who the next best option might be at that point.
Yeah.
If you're still adamant about getting a quarter, I'm not saying he's going to go there. I'm just saying that if you are adamant about getting a quarterback, and with what I'm hearing is true, it sounds like he's going to be the 4th quarterback who would be theoretically taken there.
Yes.
So because of that, you would have to trade up because I just don't see a scenario where one of those top 3 guys falls into your lap at number 8. Maybe there's a chance one of them falls. I was hearing rumblings about Drake May's stock potentially falling. I don't see it. I think Drake May is going to probably end up going top 3.
He's a quarterback's quarterback. That is like a young Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Allen.
Drake May is my favorite quarterback in this class. Obviously Caleb is spectacular, but his body type, like the way he throws it. I'm a huge Drake May fan. I also like Jaden a lot, like Jaden Daniels. That's what I'm saying. Like I could be sold on any of those top 3 guys. You go after any of those top 3 guys, I think you're doing the right thing. I don't know a lot about JJ yet. I'd have to watch a little bit more of his tape. But yeah, you're going to have to trade up, I think, to get one of those guys. So what do you have? I think you've got some decent assets. Obviously, it's going to take probably trading your first-round pick next year, which is doable. I mean, this is a team that has some pretty good players already. This isn't like a team like the Panthers, where they don't really have anybody else on the roster right now.
I love it. Nah, keep talking shit, guy. I love it.
Yeah. Or a bunch of retreads, basically, like that. But I'm being serious. Like, the Falcons are in a pretty good position to where they can afford to trade some assets to go up, because you get that quarterback right, this is a team that could make a run, because you've got a pretty good defense now. You've got 2 stud running backs. You've got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, a really good offensive line. These are situations that rookie quarterbacks don't often fall into, and it's why we all thought Desmond Ridder was going to work out, just because he had all these things, and we knew he was a 3rd-round pick, and that was the whole argument. Is like, oh, well, we haven't seen a lot out of him, but how bad could he be? Because he's got all these good players around him, and obviously it didn't work out, but the same argument still exists for whoever you want to get, because they're not going to get sacked a lot, unless it's an issue with them reading defenses. They're going to have a pretty good pocket. They're going to have safety nets with these running backs. So, I mean, it's like the same situation Matt Ryan got drafted into. He had Michael Turner there in the backfield. He had Todd McClure, Harvey Dahl, all these great offensive linemen to kind of make that transition into the NFL a lot easier. So I think the Falcons are better prepared than other teams to trade away those assets, just because you could do it. Now, would you have to throw in a player or two? Probably. Like, who would that entail? Would that mean you have to part ways with a AJ Terrell or a Kyle Pitts? Who knows? It's kind of up to interpretation what those demands are. But I think if we're talking just draft picks, I think the Falcons are in a as good or better position than most teams.
Man. I think it will take 5. I think it's going to take at least 5 draft picks. Maybe a couple number 1s and number 2.
It's 2024. Teams are out here robbing other teams. They know what you want. They know what you want. That 404, 678's calling any one of those top 3 teams. For me, as I'm a GM of those teams, oh yeah, you're giving me everything. I want how much of the stadium? I want half of it too as well. How much I serve for the hot dogs? I want that. I want piece from that too as well. Because these teams, look what they did to Carolina. Look what Chicago did. I mean, just imagine Washington in that situation, which I don't see Washington moving. I think Washington wants Caleb Williams. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. Yep. It's like Caleb Williams talking bad about not to put him out there. Caleb Williams' team talking about, don't send me to Chicago. I don't want to go to Chicago. You're from Washington. That's the number 2 team. The Eli Manning move long ago. Very possible. But Jaden Daniels, if he slips past 3, is he going to make it past the Giants? The Daniel Jones situation in New York, and the Jets mentioning yesterday they need a backup. Aaron Rodgers, how long is he going to be playing quarterback for with the Jets, y'all? Like, the Jets are going to get hungry eventually, too, as well. A lot of these teams, the Vikings, Justin Jefferson mentioning he wants to break the bank and be a part of an organization that wants to be a part of them. How much does the Vikings have, Terry? Like $19 million in cap space next year?
Something like that. No, 28.
28? It's a tough decision for some of these teams. You might see Jefferson getting packaged. You never know. I mean, the Raiders. Yeah. Teams have to get their QB. And the Falcons missed the opportunity years ago to get their QB. Now they're sitting in front of them with, 7 to 8 names that could be game changers. And then outside of those names, Falcon fans, you heard come on. Gardner Minshew. Ain't nobody signing up to have Gardner Minshew as your quarterback next year. Backup, cool. But ain't nobody trying to go out to the Benz next year and see your starting quarterback day 1 is Gardner Minshew or Sam Darnold. Or
Gardner Minshew, I feel like it's the same argument as Taylor Heineke.
Yeah. Just a mustache. One has a mustache, one doesn't.
Just a mustache, yeah.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe with him. Terry,
Yep. Sorry about that, Miles. I have a question for you. So you said that we may have to throw in a player, right? So it's draft night, right? We're in the mix to trade for the number 1 pick on the Falcons roster. Who are your untouchables? What players would you say, no way?
I think your young investments, really. I think Bijan Robinson, Algier, Drake London. Trying to think who else. Chris Lindstrom.
Okay.
Trying to think who else. As far as the defense is concerned, I wouldn't trade Jesse Bates. I wouldn't trade him. I think he proved. I mean, he single-handedly, I think, won you 2 games last year.
Yes, he did.
So you talk about Jesse Bates. after that, I think it's kind of open season on everybody else. I mean, again, this is my opinion. You know, there's nothing to this or whatever, but
especially ones with contracts coming up.
Yes, exactly. Which is where we get into I think the Kyle Pitts discussion, because you know, he's got his 5th year option coming up. Do you want to do that? He's done some good things. Obviously, he was coming off an injury, and I think we found out the injury was a lot worse than originally thought of, as far as the surgery was concerned. So this season, do we see, you know, 2021 Kyle Pitts when he was breaking all those records, you know, with good quarterback play finally, because he hasn't had that the last 2 years. So these are decisions you got to make. But if it ends up being a reason you could get your quarterback, I mean, do you throw AJ Terrell in the conversation? You know, is he a guy that you think you could afford to lose? Right now, the secondary outside of him, you aren't feeling too great about, because I mean, Jeff Okudah did some good things. Clark Phillips was very promising, but he is a bona fide CB1 for you. But is it worth getting your QB1? You know, that's going to be the question. So to get something, you're going to have to give something. So, you know, that's going to have to be a decision they consider. But as far as the untouchables are concerned, those would be the guys on my list.
Gotcha.
And a friend of mine has a question here. Is it possible we can get through this whole trade process and not even give up a player, just a bunch of picks?
I think it's possible. Yeah, especially with how the draft shakes out nowadays. I think it could. Because I mean, let's talk theoretical. So say they trade up, not to 1, not to 2, not to 3. Say one of those guys drops to, let's
4.
say
Chargers.
5, because
5.
I think 4 who is the Cardinals, right? They're not going to take
Cardinals or the Chargers, one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say, for argument's sake, they're moving up to 5. That's not going to take as much, moving from 8 to 5. It's reasonable. You don't have to mortgage your entire future for that.
Yeah.
So because of that, you're giving up most likely your 1st round pick next year, which is going to be the big selling point. You get the 8th pick, obviously, and then after that, you probably give up your 2nd round pick, maybe give up a 4th rounder, and then maybe a 3rd rounder next year. I think that is more than adequate for 3 spots from 8 to 5. I think that's pretty fair.
Okay.
That sounds fair to me. Question in the chat. Lisa Shepard. It's year 4 for Terry Fontenot as our GM. No winning seasons yet. How much time do you think Blank will give him to help turn this team around? Another 2 or 3 years, Miles?
That's the question, because I think that was the whole issue this year, is that you didn't with Terry. He put together such a good free agent class, and the draft class was so good this year that you couldn't point to Terry as being the reason why they didn't make the playoffs this year. I think it came down to coaching and quarterback play. But I do think that, you know, you got to give them grace for the first 2 years, just because of the cap situation and all that. I think Arthur Blank understood that, which is why I think it was really tough for him to get rid of Arthur Smith, because, you know, he knew this was going to be a process, but this was the year where that we were supposed to take that next step. I think in his eyes, Terry did take that next step, but the coach didn't. Gotcha. So because of that, I think that, you know, if we see another good draft class, first of all, if they get the quarterback, I think Terry automatically will stay for at least 2 more seasons, just to kind of see it through, because it'll be his pick at the end of the day. I mean, you'd assume, it being the general manager, that would be his pick. Unless something catastrophic happens, like say they go, you know, another 7-10 season, then I think there's going to be some questions. Rightfully so. I mean, this team has no business being 7-10 for another year.
Could one say that what he has done with this organization by turning this cap room around and bringing in some of these players and, you know, these draft moves that he's made, that even with all of that, he should deserve another 2 or 3 years? He's really helped turn this team around since he's got here, knowing that he's not coaching or playing either.
Yeah, I think Terry Fontenot has done an excellent job, especially free agent wise. I think that 2021, 2022 draft class, there's been some, you know, especially 2021, I think it was more misses than hits. But he really like 2023, that whole draft class basically started, which is incredible. And, you know, you look at all the free agents, he brings in Cordero Patterson, revitalizes his career. You know, obviously all the different guys he brought in this past year. So there's been a lot of good things Terry has done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I would agree with that. From the signings of David Onyemata, Ellis.
Nate Landman.
Yes. I mean, he essentially turned our defense around. I can't remember the last time the Falcons have had a top 10 defense, and we were a top 10 basically for at least through 13, 14 games of the season prior to, what happened with the collapse at the end. So I would agree. I think that Terry has earned at least another 3 years. Just basically on the free agent signings this year alone and the draft. So I would agree with that. I have a question for you, though.
Yep.
Mike.
Let's go.
Kyle's contract is coming up, right?
Sheesh.
Some would say.
Hold on now. We got some Pitts people in the chat now. Hold on now. Because you're talking money now. Hold on. Let me text them. Go ahead.
I know it, right? Some would say that in some instances, Kyle may have been underutilized. Phenomenal talent. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the utilization? What are your thoughts on re-signing him going forward? It's a yes for me. It's a definite yes, especially with the offensive coordinator. But I want to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, I think Kyle has definitely done a lot of good things. And I think that the issue with Kyle Pitts is you don't really know what he is, kind of. I mean, like I think you did see a good bit of what he could be his first year in the league because, again, like I said before, he had good quarterback play. But he was just a rookie. Obviously tight ends take some time to develop in this league. Second year, he had horrendous quarterback play. And then he blows his knee out midway through the season. And then we find out this year he was playing through that. So I think he almost deserves a mulligan for this year because he was playing through that. And you could see it. I mean, I think it was fairly obvious at a lot of points where when he was running, he just wasn't going, like he was almost limping at times.
I think Kurt Warner broke down the play when Kyle Pitts was on it too.
Yeah, like you could kind of tell. And I think that was, I don't know if that was Arthur Smith or not, but I think that Arthur probably was aware of the severity of it. So he probably wasn't trying to force the issue to a guy that's still recovering from major knee surgery. So it is kind of the big unknown. Now, I think you pick it up because of what he's done. And I think you pick it up because of what you can do with him. I mean, you've seen the potential. You put such an investment into him as the 4th overall pick, the highest tight end ever drafted. And you still haven't really cracked the surface with him yet, I don't think. And I don't think that's his fault. I think it's just been a series of unfortunate events, really.
Matt Ryan, end of his career. Mariota, half a season. Ritter comes in, and then he was injured, and then Ritter plays this year, and then Heineke comes in. Like, this is the Falcons owe Pitts an apology, honestly. Like, we didn't get it right with you.
And think about that. That was Matt Ryan at the end of his career. He broke every tight end rookie record. What does he do with elite quarterback play at 100% health?
With Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, the QBs.
Zach Robinson, great quarterback. And now again, that also happened when there was no weapons. There was no Drake London. There was no, Ridley wasn't even playing. There was Mike Davis in the backfield. Like, now you've got Bijan, Tyler, and Drake London, all these other guys who can make your life a lot easier, take pressure off. So I think the sky's the limit for him. And I do hope they re-sign him.
Yeah, agreed.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button in the chat. Die-hard Atlanta Falcon fan and content creator Uncle Steve wants to know, while I get the sentiment to keep DR9 around, do you think the writing is on the wall when neither Terry or Raheem, as much as they mentioned him? I have a sneaky suspicion that the whole QB will change. So Steve is kind of, I think he's on the fence of where Desmond Ridder is going to stand this season with the team because, Arthur Smith didn't use him correctly too as well. And, any thoughts about that, about Desmond Ridder too as well, Miles? I know you touched on it before, but just Ridder on the team still going forward. You do cut some money. You do save some money if you cut Taylor. So that's, a positive for the Falcon fans. They want to get enough money that they can in this cap room. But Desmond Ridder, what do we do with him?
I don't see any issue with keeping him around. He's cheap, which is the big thing. He's still on that rookie deal. And I really do think that's the biggest aspect of this. You don't really have a risk in keeping him. You're not having to pay him too much. He has no pressure to start anymore, I would imagine, at least. I don't think that their plans are to start Desmond. But I think you can cut Taylor Heineke, save some money, and you keep Desmond on the sideline, and maybe you could turn him into a good trade piece down the line. Maybe he shines in the preseason. Maybe your starter goes down and he does well in a couple games that you might have to service in or something like that. I think that he could be a very valuable trade piece that you could kind of rehabilitate of sorts and kind of show off what he can do.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I know Miles Garrett, you look like you gets pulled into to headquarters, Miles. I see I don't see no more Atlanta skyline behind you. What's going on there, Miles?
Just pulled into the garage, so just sitting in the dark in here.
Falcon fans, hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Any thoughts about trading Koo for
I don't know what. Again, I love Koo. Koo's great, but I don't really know what kicker's value is per se when it comes to that. I'm sure some team probably would trade something for Younghoe Koo because he's one of the best kickers in the game. But again, at the end of the day, there's a reason why even the best kickers don't get drafted. It's a piece, but it's not really a valuable piece.
Yeah.
Jeff Wolf, Miles, you might show up to training camp this year and see Jeff Wolf standing outside around 2-3 in the morning. So if you see him, call security. That's Jeff Wolf. He's a diehard Falcon fan. But he wants to know, and Jeff called the Ridley move. He called the Deion Jones getting out of here. He's been on the podcast a while talking Falcons football with us, but he's saying now, after we sign Wilson, what QB we going to get from the draft? He's thinking it's Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Miles, let me tell you something too. You ever ate at a restaurant, you had a bad experience?
Mm-hmm.
Have you gone back to that restaurant?
Can't say I have.
Can't say you have, right? Russell Wilson has had a couple bad experiences when it comes to the Atlanta, right? We can go back to 2016 when he was with the Seahawks, coming down here to Atlanta. Now starting to date, the girlfriend of the rapper that we won't mention here. But everything that Atlanta did around that time was focused on putting it in his face to say, ha, 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 welcome to Atlanta from, you're coming from Seattle. Now you have a situation where you need a quarterback. And the best one that's probably going to be available is Russell Wilson. Look at the stats, look at the numbers. If you was to put Russell Wilson in this offense, Miles, what do you think we're looking at with the Falcons if Russell Wilson was to be a part of this Atlanta Falcons team?
I think he'd do pretty decent. I mean, you saw what he wasn't bad this past season in Denver. I know maybe there was some clashing between him and Sean Payton, but I mean, he did some very good things this year. It was a very good recovery from that first year he had in Denver where things were a mess under Nathaniel Hackett. I think I think it was why the whole puzzling issue is like, why'd you bench him? I know there was some, contract stuff in there as far as why they benched him and everything.
He didn't want to take a cut or something like that.
Exactly, which makes more sense. But at the end of the day, I mean, he was, I think, a top 15, top 17 quarterback.
26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,000 plus yards.
If the Falcons had that last year, they're NFC South champions.
Yep. Absolutely.
By far, I think.
100%.
Not even close.
Not even close. Yeah.
So, I mean, just think about that's something to consider. But again, which Russell Wilson are you going to get? You're not sure. Do you get the Nathaniel Hackett Russell Wilson? Do you get the Sean Payton Russell Wilson? Do you get the end of Seattle? Those are three very different players.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, we've talked about it already. Zach Robinson's, very good at dealing with quarterbacks. Raheem Morris has dealt with both sides of the ball, has played against Russell Wilson quite a bit, being up there in LA. So, there's certainly some things to consider with that.
Falcon fans, hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Lunchtime with Miles Garrett. This has been great as we're getting ready to wrap up the show here. Terry, I do appreciate you being here too as well. Any questions for Miles before we get and wrap up the show? I do have one more question for Miles too.
I do. And first and foremost, thank you again for having me. And Miles, thank you for allowing me to participate. It was great. I'm going to have to tell my whole family about this. But anyway, can you, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback, but who from the Senior Bowl that hasn't been talked about, right? Maybe somebody, a low-key player, somebody we haven't, who kind of jumped off the screen, if you will, and really grabbed your attention when you were down there? Watch it.
Good question.
You said quarterbacks?
It doesn't have to be a quarterback. Any position.
Oh, it doesn't have to be quarterbacks?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I said his name earlier, and I know it might sound like I'm playing favorites just because of the last name, but Luke McCaffrey really impressed me.
Okay.
I really liked what I was seeing from him out there. He was catching everything. He was beating all the defenders nonstop. Now, I know he's not projected to be a big-time guy, he went to Rice. He isn't a top recruit or whatever, but based on what I was seeing, I was thorough, and I was asking others too the same thing. Like I'm like, am I just drawn to him right now because of his last name and like what I'm seeing? And like, no, like he's actually impressing right now. So I knew I wasn't crazy or playing favorites or anything out there watching these guys, but no, he was a guy that I really liked, and seems like that whole family is just bred to be professional athletes.
It would seem that way. Yeah, they're blessed.
Falcons fam, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Miles, looking at the changes that's happened with the Falcons this year with Raheem, and everybody's all excited, and the new coaching staff, probably going to be a new quarterback, and they have a little bit of money to spend. So to get your cap room up a little bit more, because you're only at $30 million. I mean, everybody's talking about big name pass rushers and go get this guy. There are a lot of solid talent going to the free agency this year. I don't know if you got a chance to check the linebackers, the cornerbacks, the wide receivers. There's a lot of good talent in the free agency. Anything that you're looking at position group wise where the Falcons should attack in free agency with their money? I know, cutting Taylor might save some, cutting this guy over here might save some, but if you were the GM, Miles, where would you attack looking at this roster?
Well, I will say, just to throw it out there, I don't want to put myself in a box here because I do interact with these guys quite a bit, so I don't want to put myself in a bad situation here.
That is true.
But
if you have to dance around the question, you could. If you don't
yeah,
want to answer,
I might have to dance around that one.
Let's do that. So let's go to this one, Miles.
NFL
schedules next year. Primetime games for the Falcons. You believe so? Yes or no?
Oh, I think so. I mean, it'll be tough. If Belichick was the coach, there probably would have been multiple ones. But when it comes to when it comes to Raheem
you
Morris,
play the Chiefs, you play the Cowboys.
There's a chance. I mean, I think because they didn't get any this past year, they'll probably get one. And, being a new coach, especially if you get a first-round quarterback, then you're almost guaranteed one. So I think if they get the quarterback, definitely at least two.
Falcons playing in Spain 2025. Are you there? Would you do that?
I hope so. My passport's ready. My passport's ready. Yeah, I just got to ask my boss.
NFL taking over now. Germany, Brazil, Spain now being introduced. Is it possible that they could be going to Ireland? I know some college football games has been played over there too as well. Like, do you see the NFL expanding well past what they have done already?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Just because of the contingency of fan bases you've seen. I mean, you guys have probably interacted with them. Atlanta Falcons, Germany. The ATL UK guys. Done a lot of podcasts with them. Yeah, I mean, it's growing everywhere. You see it in Spain now, and Brazil, even Mexico City. There's a lot of different places, and no, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ireland contingency grow very fast, and maybe you see something happen in Asia soon. I feel that's kind of the last continent that the NFL hasn't really conquered yet or gone over to try really at this point, but that'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Miles, this is a very important time for not only us as fans and content creators, but for you yourself over there at Fox 5. I know around this time last year, there was a Terry interview at the Combine, and the Combine's coming up. Miles, are you going there? What can we expect from Miles Garrett going forward? Because everybody here in the chat is probably going to start following you on all social media if they haven't, but they're going to want to know more about Miles Garrett going forward. Me as a fan, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen. So we'll be running into each other, a lot this season, either at training camp or home games, away games. But what has Miles Garrett got going on for the rest of the offseason?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. We're definitely going to be staying busy. Unfortunately, I'm not going up to the Combine this year. That'll be DJ and Justin Felder. Those two will be up there. I will be starting on Tuesday, flying down to Springport or Northport, to go to Braves spring training with DJ. So me and him will be down there for about a week and a half. So we'll be down there doing a bunch of Brave stuff, which will be a lot of fun. Get my tan on, and so it should be good. Going to be at the Masters here in a couple months, which will be exciting. Going to cover a bunch of stuff there, and yeah, we're going to be all over the Braves for sure. That's going to definitely be heating up here in the next few weeks. But yeah, we're going to be at Falcons mini camp, rookie mini camp, whatever that might be. We're still the official station of the Atlanta Falcons, so all things Falcons. Fox 5 is the best spot to look at it. We've got a bunch of shows. We're probably going to have, draft shows. I'll probably do Miles mocks again like we did last year.
That was great.
Yeah, a lot of different things we're going to be doing for sure.
Terry?
I one last thing for both of you. And I'd like for you to finish this sentence. This year, on the positive side, this year is a success if, and on the negative side, this year is a failure if. Go ahead. Miles, we'll start with you first.
Oh God, I gotta go behind Miles. Oh, God.
I got a feeling your answer will probably be the same as mine, Jack.
Yeah.
You know, I think success is playoffs. I think bare minimum, this team has to be a playoff team this year with, you know, what, again, I know it's a new coaching staff, but I think the vision for Arthur Blank is still the same for what it was in 2021, that this is that next step that you need to take now. Like last year, bare minimum was playoffs. This year, you didn't make it. I think the same goes for this upcoming year. Bare minimum is playoffs, especially with how weak the division still is. It's still going to be a weak division going into next year. I think that's the success. Now, failure, another losing season. I think that's, you're going to have, I mean, at that point, it'll be how many years? I mean, 2018 will have been the last time you had a winning season.
Yeah. You'd had the longest streak in the NFL of the most consecutive losing
season. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, 2017 was the last time you had a winning season. 2016 you did. 2015 you had a losing season, if I'm not mistaken. I think you have to check back on that. 2014 you did. So, I mean, things got to change. You can't have another, especially with this roster right now. The Falcons roster is built for success right now. It wasn't that way 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but it is right now with youth, with free agents. It's built for success. So I think, another losing season, 8-9, 7-10. That would probably be a failure.
Agreed.
Yeah, Terry, to piggyback off that same thing too, success. I mean, playoffs would be my thing of positivity, but of course, identity and chemistry too. I didn't see much of that last season, like when you saw in the previous years with the old regime. Man, I wanted to see an identity for my team. I didn't know what Falcon team was coming to play last year.
Yeah,
like I would go into a game not knowing if we're going to run the ball for 150 yards or pass the ball for hopefully 125 yards. But I didn't know what to expect. I knew my defense was ready to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
right.
I mean, April Showers, the fan of the year, she asked us about, you know, when she named different position groups, was it more of a rise up or of a they need to be ready? And then the only group I said rise up to was the secondary. Everybody else was like, it's tough. But on the negative side of things, man, I have another consecutive losing season, bro. Like I can't do this that much longer, man. We're just, you know, I mean, I'm gonna be a diehard for life, but just sitting here talking Falcons with everybody, going over another year of, oh, we'll be back. Like, come on, man. Shucky Ducky said it. Look at Sullivan. He said we need that ring.
Yeah,
that's gonna make us. That's gonna make us everything. We need that ring. And then Miles, I don't know if you knew about this. I was at the stadium the other day for the fan interview when Raheem was finished with the press conference. He came back into the Mercedes-Benz Club for the fan interview, and he was talking to us about that 2016 feeling, about the Seattle game and the Packer game and redemption. And he mentioned glue. Great leaders unite everywhere. Some of the things that he was using had me ready. And he turned to me. He was like, just like him over there, he's ready to go, because you can see it in my face that I want to win, Miles, and I want to be back to that level. And this coaching staff and everything's getting me fired up, but I got to wait 6 months for this shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I got to keep talking Falcons to be remain positive, but I want to see, you know, playoffs, winning the division. I want to see, you know, a team get out there and be 5-1 again. You know what I'm saying? Be 7-2, knowing by week 13, 14, we're in the playoffs. And that's why I do get on some of the people who talk about playoffs teams, about the Bills and the Ravens. These teams are making it to the playoffs year in and year out. They get a chance to punch their ticket to go play for the Super Bowl. And we're sitting here in our 6th, 7th year, not making the playoffs. Yeah. So I want that feeling. You know what I'm saying? I want to be back on track. Every fan in this chat wants that too as well. Question for you, Miles, we get out here. Last one. Matt Ryan, with Raheem Morris, you know, being the head coach now, they did go Ike Hilliard for the wide receivers coach. Fans were saying, go get Sanu, go get Sanu. You know Sanu. Is it possible Matt Ryan could somewhere be along with these Falcons in a coaching style effort coming forward? Or is Matt Ryan just comfortable with being a broadcaster now?
I think he's comfortable with being a broadcaster right now. I haven't heard anything that he's interested in pursuing coaching at the moment. Yeah, again, I know how it looks, obviously, like with that conversation with, you know, Sanu wanting to be a wide receivers coach, Ike Hilliard, all those guys. But especially with how things are going with him at CBS, he's still getting paid by the Colts. Like, I don't see a scenario where that happens yet, at least. I think, I mean, maybe when he's done with CBS or something, I don't know. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job at CBS.
He is. I enjoy hearing his insight quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's broadcasting Super Bowl Sunday, right?
I believe so.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Are you ready for the Usher halftime Super Bowl performance, Miles? Do you have your dance shoes ready for halftime?
Oh, of course. Yeah, ATL takeover. We gotta listen in.
How do you do confessions on a Super Bowl stage, though? I mean, that's a tough crowd if you're doing confessions.
That is, yeah, especially in Vegas. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe Vegas. Who knows? It could end up working out for him, but I'll be singing along.
Over under on the first song. I'm going. Yeah. What you got?
That's the one I was gonna say.
Yeah, he said.
Although I will say, usually the most popular ones usually don't go first. So
okay.
Maybe it'll end up being. I'm trying to think what else it could be.
His first song was a banger when he came out. The one with him and Jermaine Dupri when he was dancing on the train tracks with the My Way. She likes it my way. That was the first song he really kind of blew onto the scene with. So I would expect to at least get first Usher, the very first song.
First Usher.
You think? Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be on there, but I'll be interested to see which other ones he decides to pick, because there'll probably be about 5 of them at least.
Yeah, he's got what 13 minutes.
I think a little bit longer, maybe.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. I have to check that.
I'm just waiting for a good show. I mean, Super Bowl in Vegas. I got a lot of Falcon friends and family out there. They're enjoying themselves, so they get a chance to, see the Super Bowl in Vegas. Hopefully, Atlanta gets a chance to host it down the line again. Miles Garrett, this has been great talking Falcons football with you, man. I do appreciate it. Still holding the record for most celebrity special guest appearances here on One Time for the Fan. I don't think nobody's going to break your record. Anybody who gets close, that means we have to bring Miles back more.
There you go.
So that's just the way we're going to keep it going. Miles, where can we find you on social media, man? Because everybody's going to want to know, where can we hear more about you? They want to follow these mock drafts you're going to be putting out. Fox 5, when is the Falcons Dirty Bird reports coming back on? Like, what's going on, man?
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, right now we don't have any of our Falcons programming specifically scheduled. That'll probably change in the next month or two. But you can find me. I post all of my stuff on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it today. Miles Garrett TV. That's again where I post almost all of my Falcon stuff. I post a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel as well, just Miles Garrett, nothing crazy. But you can see me on Fox 5. If you got cable, whatever you have, YouTube TV, that's where you can find me.
Falcon fans, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. Miles Garrett, I thank you, sir, for being a part of this podcast tonight. I know you're getting ready to go eat some lunch or grab some dinner or go work out. Miles been getting buff out there too. I saw them pics, man. I saw you now, man. Over there working out.
You already know. About to go train some legs here.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much, Miles. I appreciate everything, man. I'll get back to you, man. I thank you for so much, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, fellas. Y'all take care.
You too. Thanks, Miles.
Falcon fans, this is what it's all about. When you got people like Miles Garrett here, diehard Atlanta Falcon fans, who and journalists too as well, who cover the Falcons. Some will say, "Oh, that's Miles' job. That's what he does." Man, come on, Terry. Come on, you hear that man talking Falcons football? It's like,
and he loves it. He loves it.
It's like right off the top of his head,
absolutely,
whatever it is.
Absolutely, cool as a cucumber as well. Learned a lot, and good to see. But definite Falcons fan, without a doubt.
Falcons fan, I'm telling y'all, we're trying to do the best we can here at One Time for the Fan to not only provide, a lot of the facts and everything, and we bring our opinions to the platform, and we respect everybody's opinion. That's why we do read the comments on the screen, and a lot of comments we couldn't get to tonight because of Miles. Questions people texting me on the chat or on my phone because of Miles. That's what happens when you have Miles the GOAT Garrett, GQ Garrett. Shout out to Drake Shoe Statement. Miles the GOAT GQ Garrett.
Yeah, definitely.
On the podcast. I have to understand. Terry, the next time we bring somebody on like Miles Garrett, I'm not wearing the Falcon shirt no more. I wear the hat.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to at least, K&G, Men's Warehouse. I'm going somewhere or wherever they said. What he said, Terry? He said Terry suit guy gave him the hookup?
He did, yeah. So it's custom. So it's custom made. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you go a little 3-button action with your jacket, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Little Scarface style.
V-neck, maybe. I don't know. Or you do that.
Scarface style.
Do that black shirt, maybe. Black shirt, no tie. You could do that. So I got a question for you.
That was great.
Obviously, Usher is going to kill it. Who do you think is going to accompany him on stage? I got to say my man, JD, right?
He's going to bring out the people who helped him in the past. So Jermaine Dupri would have to be one of your people. And, of course, the early Social Def days, I would have to think you bring out some people who can – Little John helped you out too as well. John's a Vegas guy, you know, so – singers now, people are looking at, Justin Bieber apparently was called.
Okay.
From what sources are saying. So we could see a Bieber sighting. This is not Bieber from when they first met. This is tattooed to the neck Bieber now. This is Brad Pitt Bieber.
Yeah. Alicia Keys, maybe? I'm thinking you got to have Alicia. My boo, two songs I definitely think you're going to see is going to be Yeah and My Boo. Like you can't have an Usher concert.
Well, what is he getting? How is he going to be able to? That's why I was just asking Miles about the Confession song. That's one of his biggest songs.
Yeah.
But the way Vegas does it, they're probably going to EDM and techno that thing into some house music type shit. Because you're listening to My Boo, that song, and it's like, damn, that's like top 5, one of his biggest songs too.
Yeah.
Usher, how do you not do your biggest songs knowing that most of them are slow jams? But you're in Vegas where that's just tradition out there.
Yeah.
As soon as the kid is born, don't have, man. As soon as the Raiders score, they know how to do that shit. They pump that music in.
Maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe it's a mixture. But you look, you got to do My Boo.
He brings Sierra out. Russell Wilson's going to the Raiders. I'm telling you right now.
To the Raiders? Okay.
He brings out Sierra. Russell Wilson's going to the Raiders.
Book it.
If he brings out Sierra, Russell Wilson's going to the Raiders.
Think so, huh? I think there's a stronger possibility of Atlanta than you think. I really do. I mean, and look, you have some valid points, but
does he wear a Falcon jersey?
What's that?
Does he wear a Falcon jersey? Over under. Does he wear a Falcon jersey or an Atlanta hat? Something that represents Atlanta.
I'm gonna go Atlanta hat.
Atlanta
maybe
hat?
Both, but you know what? If I gotta, I'm gonna go Atlanta hat. I'm gonna go right because he wore an Atlanta hat in the video, right?
That's true.
So if we're gonna do a callback to that video, right? I'm thinking, he's gonna wear the hat at some point. He may not come out in it, but I don't know. Do you have a wardrobe change? Some folks have had a wardrobe change during.
I mean, it's tough to do the wardrobe change, I guess, on set if you like duck down between the stage and all the lights and stuff going on, and you change it around. I can see them doing that, but let me see if I can get another guest on the show. See if I can get another guest. Let's see if it's happening as we're talking here on the podcast. I'm going to call somebody, see if we can get another guest. But yes. The Atlanta hat, I can possibly see him wearing. Jeezy has been known to wear the Falcons custom fitted jersey that says Jeezy on the back, different numbers. I think 50 he had one, another one he said number 1. So it's good to see Jeezy represent. Falcon fans, we ain't trying to get all up in these entertainers' business, what team they're representing. I know fans in the chat will start mentioning 2 Chainz.
Right.
How he was on the 49ers sideline, hat, socks, pants. The dog had the damn 49, everything. Drinking out of 49ers koozie. Had me tight that day. I was like,
the betrayal. I
ain't gonna look. There's some people who probably have different sports gear in their closet because it matches with their outfits and shit. I totally feel you, but I'm not doing that shit. You
me neither. So my brother and I have a rule. Right, and those of you who don't know, my brother's Eric Parker.
Wait, you talking about this guy right here?
That guy right there, BLB, Big Little Brother, and I'm LBB, Little Big Brother. But we have a rule, and that we do not wear any other team's gear, but Falcons. Now that's just how it was in our home. I'd be interested to throw that out to our fans out there. Falcons fans, those of you diehards, would you wear a 49ers jersey, right? Let's say, I don't know, you're going to your cousin's house and you spill something on your shirt and the only shirt they have is 49ers. Are you going to tough it out with that stain and represent? Or are you going to betray your franchise and, you're going to be a 49ers fan for about 2 hours? What are you doing? I'm not doing it. I think I know what you're going to say, Jack, but go ahead, regale us. What are your thoughts?
Chances are, if it's me, I have an extra shirt in the car.
Okay.
And it's probably Falcons.
Okay.
If I don't have an extra shirt in the car, I'm going to the gas station and go get a white tee.
There you go. Well, hey, I'm toughing it out, man. Whatever. It's a couple hours. I'm gonna go wipe it out, get a towel, and we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it do what it do. So yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You will not you won't.
What
right?
you got that? What's that thing called? Shout? What they used to call it? Shout?
Resolve is pretty good. Resolve is pretty good to get that
Resolve.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'll get out any stain. Yeah. But
you looking at somebody come down the stairs with a Panther jersey, you over there like, nah, it's coming out. Don't worry, we gonna be on time for the wedding.
Without a doubt. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Then they turn the jersey around. And you see NEW. Like no. Put it back. Put it back. We gonna get it out. Just blowing it, baby. Just blowing it.
Oh man. Yeah, no, we don't do that. We don't. No, we're not doing that.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. This has been great. Lunchtime with Miles Garrett and our newest podcaster. I'm trying to give you a nickname here. Superman T. No, not Superman.
Let's go with T Will. Let's go.
T Will.
That's my nickname at home. So let's go with T Will.
T Will.
Yeah.
Welcome to One Time for the Fan. T Will.
There you go.
For those that do not know, Eric Parker's big little brother is here now with One Time for the Fan. It's great to have you. We talked the other day for about 7 hours in 3 days about Falcons.
Yeah,
Falcon fans, I'm telling you right now, Manuel McFarland, you talking shit. Where my football? Let me turn this computer around and show y'all. Nah. But we talked the other day. Big shout out to Manuel McFarland. We got more panels and stuff coming up from some fans, so we love to have everybody on the show. But we talked the other day, like I said, Mateo, Lisa Shepard, Sullivan, Dan Burst, everybody in the chat, me and Terry, T. Will, talked the other day for about 7 hours in 2 days about nothing else but Falcons. We talked, we trashed the Saints a little bit. And I think we trashed it like a couple times. We talked about the Saints.
At least 3.
Yeah. You got to say fuck the Saints about a couple times. Every hour you got to say fuck the Saints.
At least.
Talk with Eric Parker on a call with Terry. Talk to Terry outside of that. Talk to Terry again. We talk Falcons football. And then we did a podcast on Wednesday. And you can hear it from T. Will that this young brother right here talks Falcons football. He is a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan. So for those in the chat, Terry, as we get ready to wrap up the show, the newest member of One Time for the Fan, let everybody know who is T. Will, how long you've been a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan, and just your thoughts and vision about this team.
All right. Well, T. Will is just a regular guy. Hey, I get up and go to work just like everybody else. Hey, that's right. Falcons gear. I hear you, Mateo. I hear you. Agreed. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a regular guy, just like everybody else. What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry, I'm old.
Jeez, that's tough. No, we do that she's too, but that's how we talk on the channel. But yeah, it was about who is T. Will as a Falcon fan, how long you been a Falcon fan, and where do you see this organization going?
Got it. Okay. All right. So I'm the Falcon fan that again, every year I have hope that it's it's going to be great. I remember 2016 was a crushing blow. We got over it. We'll move forward. Who I am or where do I see us go? How long have I been a Falcons fan? Since the days of Steve Bartkowski, Wallace Francis, Alfred Jenkins. I know some of y'all are like, who? What?
That's what they need, Terry. That's what they need in the chat. They're gonna say, whoa.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, those are the Falcons of the 70s. Matter of fact, in 1980, they played the Cowboys and lost in the playoffs. But I fell in love with those Falcons and have been watching them ever since. Where do I see us going? If I'm being honest, within the next 5 or 6 years, I see us winning a Super Bowl. Just winning a Super Bowl. I'm not going to say book it, but I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I think he does, my boo. Agreed.
Yeah, he does. I think. I mean, I'd love to see my boo mixed up in EDM, but yeah, you got it. You got it, T.
Yeah, you have to do my boo. You have to do my boo. You have to do You almost have to do confessions. I don't know what you're gonna have to do confessions.
Oh, Lisa Shepard, Luda.
I forgot about Luda. That's right. Good one. Yeah, definitely Luda.
Got to bring Luda out. Jermaine Dupri, Little John. That seems like a star-studded event. I mean, what did LA do? LA had 50 Cent, Eminem,
Snoop,
Dr. Dre, Snoop. Corrupt, I think, was out there too as well. Some of the Dog Pound or some of those guys were out there too as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where 50 was hanging upside down? I don't know what was up.
Yeah, hanging upside down in one of those, I don't know, weight rooms or whatever he lives in.
Yeah,
it's going down in a major way. We got diehard Falcon fans talking Falcons football. T-Will.
Yes, sir.
I was supposed to do this with Miles, but Miles is just so sharp. I know he'll get ready to take that suit off, man. He's been in that suit all day. Shout outs before we go ahead and get up out of here, T-Will.
Hey, man, shout out to my brother. Shout out to my mom. I didn't do that the other day. Sorry, Ma. Shout out to my wife, kids, guys at work, everybody. You know, like I say, regular dude, man. Shout out to you again. I cannot thank you enough for having me on your show. I love it. And as long as you keep asking me, I'll keep coming back. Calling it a 3-peat. Oh, I missed what he said.
I'm sorry. Mateo said, nah, book it. I'm calling a 3-peat. First ever done in the NFL.
Okay. All right. Hey, I'll take it. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd just be happy with one. And I'm not saying that I don't want a 3-peat, but I would just be happy with one. Can you imagine all the Saints fans that would have to shut up? All the Bucks fans that would give our franchise some legitimacy, right? We could go back to Matt Ryan and say, thank you. It's okay. We got
he automatically gets one. You just give him one.
Right. Exactly. We could go back to Julio and say, we got you. We could go back to Steve Bartkowski and say, here you go. Jamal Anderson, Chris Chandler, Michael Vick. Here you go. I mean, I will take just one, because the feeling that Atlanta will have, if you think for 1 minute that the city lost its mind when the Braves won, man, ATL will be shut down for a week if the Falcons win. It will be mayhem, bedlam, chaos, and I'm here for it.
He said, I'm here for it. I think we all are here for it. I was on the way to New Orleans when the Braves had their parade, because the Falcons played the Saints that weekend. I was like, nah, we're going to be late today. We finna watch this goddamn parade. I'll tell you that.
You were saying the other day that you might run into the field with the confetti. You know, I'm ripping my shirt off and I'm running and doing a tour around my neighborhood if the Falcons win the Super Bowl. Like, immediately, I'm just ripping it off and I'm going shirtless and I'm running around like a banshee. Doing the entire neighborhood.
You see, I don't want to keep putting it out there, because let's just say we do go to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, when we do go to the Super Bowl
and win,
most of the NFL is going to be watching these podcasts, and some of these things, they're going to say, there's this guy from One Time for the Fan that has been mentioning that if the Falcons win, he's going to run on the field. So this is going to happen. This is how it's going to play out. Falcon fans in the chat, hit that like, share, and subscribe. This is how it's going to play out. They're watching the podcast now, right? Like the local jokers, the people in the NFL, look, the ones who be over there telling on people.
Right.
They're like, this guy's talking about he's going to run on the field when the Falcons go to the Super Bowl. Yes, I am. And if the Falcons make the Super Bowl, when the Falcons make the Super Bowl and they're getting ready to win, now the NFL has to look and say, where is that? Hey, go to social media and go and check where this guy is. They're going to tell you what the page is. They're going to say, look at Instagram, look at Facebook. If they see me at the game, they're gonna pull the red flag. They're going to say, this guy has been known. He said it. He said it on his podcast. He's going to run on the field when the Falcons win the Super Bowl. I'm talking about 2 seconds left to go. Getting ready to take a knee. There's a fan on the field. Seems to be a Falcon fan. He's dodging security at the moment. Oh, he's back in the stands. He's back in the stands leading a wave of Falcon fans with him. Look at him. Oh, we got more Falcon fans on the field.
He just kicked a Saints fan, ladies and gentlemen. He just pushed him out of the way. He mugged him and took his beer. He took his beer. Yeah.
Pretty much. Correct. I'm at that point now as a fan where if that's my last game as a Falcon fan, matter of fact, that ain't my last game as a Falcon fan. That's my last game at that stadium as a Falcon fan. because I'm banned from that stadium. I'm good in the Benz. I'm banned from that stadium.
I hear that.
And I'll be out of jail by the parade. So don't worry about it.
You're putting up your bail money in advance?
I'm telling you, man. They're going to be like, what'd you do? What'd you do? I ran on the fucking field for my NFL team. I ran on my NFL team. Walking into jail handcuffed. There he goes right there. That's a diehard right there. You damn right I am. Would you do it?
So I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna run around my neighborhood with my shirt off. I'm gonna have a drink with my two brothers. And my dad's deceased, but I'm gonna have a drink with him in his ashes. So we'll have a drink. It'll be phenomenal, man. Like I say, I've been a Falcons fan a long time. I was crushed in 2016. I was crushed in 2012. I darn near cried myself to death in 1980. If and when we ever win a Super Bowl, it will be one of the greatest days I've ever seen on this planet, and I'm here for it. So, you say 3. I mean, dude, I'd be ecstatic with 1. I would be ecstatic with 1. But
you said all that and didn't mention Eugene Robinson.
I did not. Wow.
All right, let's get ready to wrap this thing up. Dre, true statement: Saints fans' worst nightmare realized when the Falcons getting ready to win. Dre, let me tell you something. When the Saints were getting ready to come to Atlanta, when they thought they was getting ready to beat the Rams, bruh, that the looks on their faces when they realized that they would not be coming to Atlanta to play in that Super Bowl, bruh, I'm talking about that was one of the greatest moments ever, bruh. Seeing them go to the Senate and take it down to Washington, and man, that was just, we need to change the NFL. Look at this no call. That shit was epic.
They sure did. Yeah. Was that the pass to Taysom Hill in the end zone where they?
No, that was the Johnson. Remember they was doing the Sean Payton dance all season, and then when they did the interception, the guy from the Rams stood up and did the Sean Payton dance.
Sure did. He sure did.
And the Rams sent them home. They were beating the Rams all game until fourth quarter when Goff went crazy on their ass, brought them back in the game. Then it went to overtime, and then Breeze, what was it? Breeze dropped back. He got sacked, and then he threw the fucking duck. He threw the duck. He threw the duck. I remember that. And then Jalen Johnson said, "Give me that." Intercepted. Got up and did the goddamn Sean Payton. Everybody was doing the Sean Payton by 3 or 4 Rams players all over the Saints field, hitting the Sean Payton in front of Sean Payton.
I'm here for it. I'm
here for
it. Whatever. I'm here for it. Sean, you're number 1.
Fans in the chat, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Eric Parker said T Money. So before we get you on this next podcast, Terry, it's either T Money, T Will, or you got to think of something.
It's gonna be T Will, man. That's what they call me at home. Also, shout out to my nephew, Sir. Sir said hello, so just want to shout him out. That's Eric's son. But yeah, man, we're going with T Will all day. It served me. Yeah.
T Will it is. As we get ready to wrap up the last of the comments here, big shout out to everybody here in the chat. B ATL said 1 time for the fan. Big shout out to B. Love to see you back here on 1 time for the fan. We just talking off season. Everybody wants to get their quarterback. Everybody wants to have their right guy in place. We all at the same page now. Dre, Emmanuel, Phillip, Mateo, Eric Parker, Chase, no matter any content creator. Winning is the ultimate thing, and we need to win. We've all been through the times of losing and yelling at our other fans and the fan base because they said this guy was good and this guy's not good. Let's put all that stuff aside and go win a fucking game. Let's go win some games this year, y'all. Raheem Morris is in the building. Zach Robinson is in the building. Who's going to be the quarterback? We'll find out. But the roster should be ready to go with the improvements you're going to make. The culture with this, the Benz is rocking every home game. You guys are seeing it now. Like, even when the team is 7-10, you guys are having fun at the home games again. We love that. Be a part of that. And bring your friends and family out. Buy more tickets. This whole chat should be full of season ticket holders. This whole chat should be filled with season ticket holders.
That's right. And to the Saints fans, have a day you deserve. There you go. Right there.
Falcon fans, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It's great seeing and talking to all the diehard Atlanta Falcon fans here in the chat. Miles Garrett from Fox5Atlanta, man, it's been great once again talking to you again on the podcast. We'll definitely get a chance to catch up down the line. Terry, I thank you all. Tonight, Dirty Fanatics United. We're going to be over there at 8 o'clock. It's going to be kind of tough because he has like 8-9 people jumping in and out of the podcast, and StreamYard can only hold 6. So I don't know how this is going to work out. I might not even be able to participate. I know Kiki from One Time for the Fan is going to be stepping up too as well to be over there helping us out with One Time because everybody's just so busy. Kiki like, I want to talk Falcons too. God damn it, Kiki, go ahead and talk some Falcons. So Kiki's stepping up in a major way, and this is her off season, so she's trying to relax and sit back because there's so much going on with the Falcons. It's like too much, So big shout out to Kiki, big shout out to Chase, big shout out to Bodie, my dog. A1 since day one. A1 Forever is also in the chat too as well. Content creator. Uncle Steve was here. It's always good to reach out and talk Falcons football with you all. Terry, this has been great. Chat, this has been great. One Time for the Fan. We are out, and we will see y'all next week. Oh, shit.
Sunday.
No, the Super Bowl Sunday.
That's right.
So we might have a pop-up podcast Monday. Any breaking news that is, good enough for us here at One Time for the Fan to cut this live on, we will. But the next show would be probably on Monday for a quick pop-up podcast. And then we have to do our giveaway on Wednesday, our One Time for the Fan giveaway. We're going to announce the winners, and then we'll collect all the information from the winners, and then we'll send you out some stuff. So it's a cool little swag bag, right? Falcon fans, like, share, subscribe. T. Will, welcome to One Time for the Fan, sir.
Thank you for having me. Love it, and can't wait to come back.
Rise up, y'all. We out.